Here we are again, man. Here we are again. There's two letters I didn't want to see when it came into discussion about Deshaun Watson. That was IR. That question was posed to Kevin Stefanski yesterday. And as we came out of that game on Sunday against the Colts, when he played 12 snaps, had 5 passes, got slammed, sat out the rest of the game, pretty much all of the questions to Kevin Stefanski yesterday, it was not about P.J. Walker, it was not about Myles Garrett, it was all Deshaun Watson. As we sit here and try to piece together where we're at, what's going on with him, and for truly the first time of dealing with this injury, it has maybe become apparent that IR might be it. Now, it's funny because he's in essence missed 3 games and potentially going to miss another. You should just put him on IR when it happened. That's life. You don't exactly know how it's going to play out. And the Browns know, as I know and as you know, their best chance, and frankly their only chance to go where they want to go, is Deshaun Watson being on the field. You make that move to IR, he's not on the field. There's no question about it. There's some comfort in maybe that we don't have to bash our heads against the wall every week wondering if he's going to play. You know he's out. But if there is that tiniest little chance that he can play, IR takes that all the way. And if that's the move, then what do? You ride it out with P.J. Walker, who's got to be elevated to the regular active roster. Do you go back to Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Do you go try to call on Jacoby Brissett, get him back for the Commanders, or dare I say a free agent quarterback? A lot of people wanted Carson Wentz in that draft. Maybe it's just fate be damned. And he finds the way to the Browns. I don't know. We'll discuss all of that. Jack Delphin coming up at 9:30 to get his thoughts on that. World Series is set on one side. We got a Game 7 tonight. The NBA tipping off tonight. Monday Night Football in the books. We got it all for you right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. Hey, is Ryan Tyler. Good morning to all on a beautiful NBA opening night. Of course, the Cavs are in action tomorrow night to begin their season. So excited to sit down and watch a little hoops tonight. Bet with us along on Tipico. Use that code BigPlay150 to get all your bet credits that you need for the NBA season. So we will get to that. As I mentioned, Jack Duffin is going to join us. Really, I wanted to talk to Jack about potential roster moves because they are out of elevations for P.J. Walker. If you don't know, when you're a practice squad player, you can only be elevated on Sunday 3 times before you have to be signed to the active roster. So they got to move Walker up if they need him for Sunday. Now, with that, they would need to release a player. They would need to put a player on IR. We'll get Jack's thoughts on all of that coming up at 9:30. This Michigan story keeps getting weirder and weirder about what this guy was doing in sign stealing. I saw reports, Ryan, he had 2 tickets at Ohio State. One was facing each sideline. And those tickets, shockingly, were not redeemed. Now, they have security footage of people that are sitting in these guys' seats like this the whole game with their cell phones out recording. I don't know if Harbaugh's getting out of this one, man. They want to look aside at some of those recruiting violations that he had. I don't know if he's getting out of this one without some pretty hefty sanctions. So we'll discuss that coming up a little bit later. We got Time Hop. Bracket of the week is your favorite Halloween character. So I don't like filling it completely out, Ryan, before the show because I want to allow people to get their nominations in. Right now, I got 4 open spots. So of the 16, we have 12. Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. I put Jack Torrance in there from The Shining. It's a horror movie. Like, I don't want to muddy the water here of horror movie versus Halloween movie. Because, like, Jack Skellington I put in there. The Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. My wife would not have let me in the house if I didn't put them in this. She loves Hocus Pocus. So that's in. So it doesn't have to be horror either. It could be whatever you got. But I have most of it filled out. We'll take any and all suggestions at Matt Fontana 83, at Matt Fontana Show, and at Ryan Tyler 33. So we'll get to all of that a little bit later. So Watson, where are we at? And every single availability for Kevin Stefanski, he is going to get bombarded with questions about where Deshaun Watson is and what's going on. The first thing we got to start with this morning, Ryan, is a question posed to Kevin Stefanski. Shout out to Jake Trotter, ESPN NFL Nation reporter. He asked Kevin Stefanski yesterday, is IR a consideration for Deshaun Watson with that shoulder injury? Here's Coach Stefanski, sound courtesy of the Browns.
Yeah, again, I think day to day, always gathering information. But he's getting better. He's a competitive kid. He's working hard.
Kevin Stefanski is a really smart guy. He handles press conferences really well. That might be some of the most flustered that I've heard him. I've covered the team since he came here. Can you play it again for me, Ryan? Listen to how, and this isn't a shot at Kevin Stefanski. This is him in every fiber of his being, not trying to say something to the question, should you put Deshaun Watson, or has it been discussed and considered putting Watson on IR? Listen to Coach again.
Yeah, again, I think day to day, always gathering information. But he's getting better. He's a competitive kid. He's working hard.
Yeah. I'll sum it up. Brian, ask me the question that was asked to Coach. Have you considered putting?
I was thinking of how I wanted to word. I was going to do something funny, but
no.
Matt, have you considered putting Deshaun
I'm Coach
Watson
Stefanski here. I'm Coach Stefanski here.
Coach Kevin, have you considered?
Brian, good to see you. How's it going? How's big play? Good to see you. Go ahead, yeah.
Coach Stefanski, have you considered placing Deshaun Watson on IR?
Yes. Yeah. That is what it was, right? Is that not really what he was trying to dance around? Of course they have. Of course they have considered that. For 2 seconds, maybe. For a longer conversation, possibly. But there is no world that the Cleveland Browns, as smart as they are and as in tune as they are, of course they have thought about it. Of course they have thought about putting Deshaun Watson on IR. That has at least been discussed. Now, it could have been a quick, no, that's not really where we're at right now. But I can almost guarantee you, it's at least come up in conversation, because that's how hard this situation has been. That is how hard it's been on the organization. I'll tell you this, Ryan, if it was any other position, well, frankly, he might be able to play, because I think a rotator cuff injury, the way that he has it, like, you don't need a rotator cuff to play defensive back, okay? So it is dependent on the fact that he is the quarterback. But what I'm saying is, an injury like this, I would think anybody else, they've considered it. Like Jerome Ford, unfortunately, he's got that dreaded high ankle sprain. And there's reports that he will miss 1 to 2 weeks. That would be an IR consideration. So 1 to 2 weeks, it's 4 weeks. Yeah, but 1 to 2 weeks to get it healthy. You know, with those, sometimes they go longer. He needs a week to get rehabbed, a week to get back into things. That's an easier decision to make. It's not Deshaun Watson. But the issue is, they've gone back and forth with trying to get him out there and trying to make him play. What is the advantages? I love a good pro-con list. What are the pros and cons of putting Deshaun Watson on IR? The pro, you know he's out. You can game plan. You can be ready for a game knowing that he's out. And frankly, I think that helps some of the fans out there too, just to know, hey, man, he ain't playing. He's out. Another pro, maybe rehab is different. Maybe they can approach his therapy differently because they know they have the time. Are they, and I'd love to ask this question, are they doing therapy to try to get him to the games on Sunday as opposed to therapy for the long term? Because you can't, if he's trying to play every Sunday, I would imagine that maybe therapy is different as opposed to he's out for 4 weeks. Like, again, I'm not a doctor, but if you knew he was out for 4 weeks, I would imagine week number 1, Ryan, is we're not going to do anything. Just put it in a sling and sit around and do nothing. You know, work your legs out and keep your cardio up the best that you can, but we're not going to do anything. And then in a week or two, we'll start with the electric stim, or we'll start with the ice, and we'll start with all these other stuff, where they're approaching it every week of trying to get him ready for the game. So that is a pro of putting him on IR. In addition to, it's then PJ Walker's team. We'll get into that discussion in just a second. Kind of the message of the team is don't keep looking to Watson, too, because I think that's another part of this. As the team navigates this, they're going to continue to look at Deshaun Watson and believe that he is going to walk through that door and save them relative. Okay, they've won the 2 games. Well done on their part. But the team is still looking at Watson saying, you're going to play or not? Are you going to go? And it's not a negative thing. Wyatt Teller, as a dad, I appreciate very much what Wyatt said yesterday. He goes, it's like when your kid's sick. What do you do? Yell at your kid that he's got an earache? No, it's not their fault. It's not Deshaun Watson's fault he got hurt. So I don't think the team's looking at him trying to say, oh man, it's his fault he got hurt. And I don't want to buy into the toughness thing. And if they think he's out there, he can't play. He's not out there. So it's just the calming presence of it. Those are all the pros for IR. The cons, he's not going to play. For a fact he's not going to play. The roster position is nothing. Okay, they can release a player. Put him on IR, you open up the roster spot. Well, maybe that comes to the forefront now that the fact you have to elevate PJ Walker. And we'll talk to Jack Duffin in just 20 minutes about that. He's going to join us at 9:30. I got cap questions. We'll get to trade questions, too, with Jack. Derrick Henry, anyone? No. Dude, Kevin Byard. Because the Eagles really needed help. They get an all-pro safety yesterday. Browns didn't need one. I like the 3 that we got. Don't get me wrong, but I like Kevin Byard. He's a really good player. And the Eagles traded for him yesterday. So we're starting to see some trades start to happen. I would assume the Browns will jump into once. We'll talk to Jack at 9:30. So the roster spot of him getting potentially put on IR, that doesn't mean anything to me. The question is, do you do it to just put a stamp on this, to say this is what we're going to do to take control of this situation? Watson is out, and we're going to move forward. Now, that all being said, Ryan, let's look at the 4 games.
Yep.
Let's, in a hypothetical world, let's take this all into account because it is a 2 for Tuesday this morning. Our 2 questions are up. Number 1, would you put Deshaun Watson on IR? Right now, today, they come to you and they say, what would you do here? Would you put him on IR? So the 4 games that he would miss if they did it today: Seattle, Arizona, Ravens, Steelers. You are on the road at Seattle. You are home versus the Cardinals. You are at Baltimore, and you are home versus the Steelers. Those last 2 games are the ones that you don't like because they're division games. And you still believe at 4-2 that you are in a position to go win the division. You can't do that if you lose to your division game or division opponents. You just can't do that. I've always said that you want to win the division, you are at minimum needed to go 3-3 in your division, if not 4-2. And the Browns right now are what? 1-2? Lost to the Steelers and Ravens, beat the Bengals. That's it. So here's the other part too. Then you would potentially lose both the tiebreaker. The tiebreaker's out there again, because if you lose 0-2 against the Steelers, 0-2 against the Ravens, okay, that's done. And maybe you've shifted towards the playoffs, just to make it in wild card. Noah Weiskopf, who joins us, Noah had the tweet yesterday. If the playoffs started today, we're the 6th seed wild card, and we actually go to Baltimore to face the Ravens. That'd be fun. I'd like that game. That'd be a fun game if Watson could play. So those are the 4 that if you put him on IR, you'd miss. To vote right there on our Twitter question, Ryan, would you put him on IR?
I would, yes.
You would?
On IR. I would.
Tell me why.
Well, like you said, not even for the fact that it would be nice to have an answer, right? But the fact, okay.
Not to cut you off there, but you bring up a good point. Because there is that part of me that wants that. And I want to have something that I just don't want to do what we've been doing. Now, we'd have to shift and start doing shows talking about PJ Walker's starting quarterback and knowing that. And I don't know how fun those shows will be. We'll find out maybe. But we need to guard against that. We need to stop and say, putting him on IR just for my own mental health is not necessarily maybe the right move. But for the team, that's a little different. Sure.
Yeah, I would put him on IR. It would be I'm not going to pretend that, they owe us anything in terms of giving us some clarity. But it's clear, those throws, I know it's a very small sample size, but you could tell there was something still wrong with his shoulder. And then you go even further than that. Okay, you look at the next 4, right? Okay. That's a really tough game, actually, in Seattle.
Sure.
I'm not scratching up as a loss because we just beat the 49ers, but
it would be play it out this way too. you're in a position you didn't think you'd be in at 4-2, right? So let's play that out. That even if it went bad, you should still be able to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, so I'm okay if in the next 4 games you put Deshaun on the IR. Even if we lose to Seattle, okay. You can easily should beat Arizona, no problem. And then
somehow steal one from the Steelers.
We're at home with this. We're at home against the Steelers, and we should have beat them. And Deshaun Watson was horrible.
Even if you go 1-3 in that stretch, you are still 5-5. You're still 5-5. Now, then you put the onus on the rest of the season to win 5 more games against the Broncos, the Rams, the Jags, the Bears, the Texans, the Jets, and the Bengals. Right, there might be 5 wins there. Broncos, Bears, Jets. I still think the Texans. Yeah, maybe. And yeah, that's us playing the game before they actually kick off. Okay, and everybody 49ers game, you're like, didn't see that coming, right? But that's where I think maybe they have missed their window. I think they missed their window for it. Now, that's easy for me to say because I know that he didn't play over the last couple of weeks. My answer is the exact opposite. I'm unequivocally don't put him on IR. Don't do it. Couple reasons. Number one, if there is any semblance of a chance that he can play, then I need to keep that option open because he still is the best version of this team. Yeah, on the field, it's not been good either. And we've talked about the mountains and the hurdles that this team has to go over. The first mountain is getting him healthy. The bigger mountain to actually climb is him playing well. That's the other part of this. Getting him on the field now is just only one step of this. This isn't a guy that as soon as he comes back, you're like, all right, good, thank God he's back. He's going to go out there and ball out. I don't have that feeling. So that's even more of a reason why I need him to maybe get out there is if he can play, I need him to start knocking that rust out. I need him to start playing better. So putting him on an IR, I'm not doing that. And then that schedule that I just laid out. Because I need those games in the division. I just have to have them. And I think the Browns are at a point that they have missed that window to put him on IR. I just don't understand what it gains other than what we talked about, the mental side of it, the just knowing that he's on IR. So I do not expect the Browns to put him on IR. Save that clip for tomorrow. Because you want to know the other crappy thing? God, you know what? I got to ask Jack about this at 9:30. Because I believe that you can do IR retroactive. And what I mean is that if the Browns put him on IR and he had not played in the Seattle game, that game could have counted. And then I don't want to say the same. I'll ask Jack. I don't mean to put that on Jack, but I'll see. Because you know what I mean? Like you see that sometimes when guys get put on the IL in baseball or whatever, they call it retroactive, where they put him on this day, but in reality, it's backtrack 3 or 4 days because they didn't play. And you can do that. I think you can do IR retroactive to a date. But the issue is that you had him out there for 12 snaps. Now it seemed to be even more mistake you played him for the 12. Another sound clip from Kevin Stefanski yesterday. The question was asked, and granted, it was a small sample size, but Kevin, was it a mistake to put Watson out there on Sunday?
Yeah, I think I'll always take all the information I have, Tony, when making decisions on our players. I think it's way, way, way too small of a sample size to make a consideration on that.
And what he's saying is, right, you had 12 snaps, you had 5 passes. What are you going to take away from that? I mean, the answer cannot be in that, well, he got hurt because you weren't planning for that. That goes to that second mountain that I was talking about, him actually playing on the field, what it looked like, not great. So that's where they're caught in this bind. And I'd love to hear from people in the Twitter inbox, at Matt Fontana Show, at Matt Fontana 83. Like, what would be the pro of putting him on IR? It would be, yes, the mental side of it, the just being able to say, like, we know he's out, we know he can rehab, but then you are just putting such a squeeze on that remaining, how many games? So what are we in? We're 4-2, there's 6 games, 7 games left. You are putting a squeeze on those 7 games, Ryan, that I would probably need you to go 5-2 in 7 games with a guy coming off IR that still isn't playing great on the field. That is backing yourself into a corner. And frankly, I don't think they need to put him on IR. The IR in football, of how they've done it now, with the 4 weeks being out, is truly meant for guys that they know they're going to miss 4 weeks, sometimes even 5. But in the past, if you put them on IR, they were out for the year, and that was stupid. Yeah. So I really like the change that they have made. And now, remember when it used to only be 2 guys that could return from it? That was all. I didn't like any of that. This is right. If a guy is going to be out for 4 weeks or a month with, a knee scope or a, meniscus, whatever, and they're truly going to miss a month, put him on IR, get him healthy, and bring him back. That is, I think the other problem is that they don't know that Deshaun Watson's shoulder is a month injury. It's turned into that now, but you didn't know that back in the time. You didn't know. You didn't have a crystal ball to know that this would truly be a month thing. I think they've missed their window. Yeah, no matter how you want to slice it, I think they have missed their window. I truly do.
So with them, if they decide to go down the route of not placing him on IR, it's like, okay, we're gonna, let's say, wait 3 weeks. We get through Seattle, we get through Arizona, and then let's say we get to the Baltimore game, right? So you're kind of trusting Deshaun to and obviously they have all the medical staff, but you're trusting him to know his own body. And let's say we get to that Baltimore game and he says, oh, you know what? I'm feeling good. Maybe we're a week ahead of where we thought we were going to be with that injury, right? You just don't want Deshaun Watson to go out there against Baltimore and then just have another setback. That would just be huge because then you're further in the season. You have another game right after that division game, and then it'd be a perfect opportunity, like you said, down the stretch, some very, very winnable games.
Well, then the other part is that the week, right? A reason to put him on IR is you're not jumping back and forth all week if he's going to play or not and have the same situation that you had in that first Baltimore game. You wake up in the morning, oh, crap, he can't play. And then you got to turn it over to somebody else. You would avoid that with IR. You would. So I just don't see it. Save that clip. I really wouldn't see them moving to the IR. So our question is up at Matt Fontana Show. We're asking everybody, would you put Deshaun Watson on IR? If you were Andrew Berry today, would you put him on IR? My answer is no. Ryan's answer is yes. Right now, 73-27 people say yes. Nick in the Twitter inbox. Let's get him back to 100%. Apparently, we never learned after the Baker fiasco. See, I read the Baker fiasco differently than some. It's that the Browns wanted him to sit and he didn't want to. Like, I think it's different. I guess the lesson to be learned is playing guys when they're not fully healthy.
Yeah.
My smart-ass response is that nobody's healthy in the NFL.
Yeah, so Matt, let me ask you this then. Okay, let's say we get to that Baltimore game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say Deshaun isn't fully 100% healthy. Let's say he's like 90% healthy. You know, he's almost there. If you're Stefanski, right, you're looking at this situation, do you go, hey, we don't have a great chance of winning this if Deshaun's not 100%. We're going to just sit you and we're going to wait another game until Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, a 90%, like, I wish there was some automatic scale to tell you. I think 90% is fine.
Okay.
But then you are entering what exactly happened on Sunday. He gets smashed again. He gets smushed trying to do this. Let alone what that does to your offense. They're not running any more quarterback sneaks. And granted, they do it with Harrison Bryant a lot, which is smart, I think. But imagine what it changes for Kevin Stefanski's play call. Because if he's not fully healthy, there's probably throws, Ryan, that he can't make. There are probably, you think you're going to get as many RPOs that you would normally get because now you're putting him in harm's way. All of that needs to be factored in, too, on what that scale is of getting Deshaun Watson out there to play. It's tough, man. It's a real sticky situation. It is. All right, our second 2 for Tuesday. We got into this debate yesterday. I don't even remember how we started talking about breakfast beverages or something like that.
I think, Matt, it was, we were just talking about, like, we were like, oh, listening with your morning coffee. And I was like, well, what about my mimosa?
And I said mimosas are disgusting.
You're wrong.
I hate them. So our second 2 for Tuesday, mimosas or Bloody Marys? Bloody Marys.
Ew.
What? Okay, let me ask. Do you like tomatoes?
No. Or no? Okay, yes, I like tomatoes, but I don't. Okay, I don't like ketchup, and I don't like tomato juice. Like, ew.
Bloody Marys are just delicious.
Ew.
There's some. Plus, then if you go mimosa, what do? They pour you a little champagne.
Yeah.
with your orange juice, which I don't like. Here's where I like oranges. I don't like orange juice.
Interesting.
And then that's it. What do they do? They put a little orange slice on it, or people, they could do grapefruit, or they could do a little mix or whatever. Okay, fine. The Bloody Mary.
Oh.
You can sit down at a Bloody Mary bar. And I'm throwing a celery in there. I'm throwing a pretzel rod. Give me some olives. I want some cheese. I get one of those long toothpicks, and I'm stabbing pepperoni, and I'm stabbing everything that I want. And I get this giant, gaudy meat and cheese filled kebab.
That's not making me sway my decision in
Are
any
you
way.
insane?
No, I think you're insane.
And then you just dunk it right into the Bloody Mary. Sprinkle some Old Bay. God, I love Old Bay. You put that right in it. There's different Bloody Mary mixes to be had. You like spicy a little bit. You like this over here, a little more chunky, little whatever you want. And then it's just you just sip on it.
Well,
sip on it, enjoying your brunch.
It's good to see our viewers are being a little bit smart here. Mimosa's got an early.
It's early. Hey, calm down over there. It's early. It's early. Okay.
Stop the count.
Relax. You ever had a red eye?
No.
So a red eye. They're signing up soon, but shout out to our friends at Garage Beer. You take a beer and you pour that into a tomato juice. That is also a pretty fine beverage right there. Come on, Ryan.
See,
mimosas are bland. Mimosas are just mimosas.
They're delicious.
You get all the accoutrement when you go with the Bloody Mary. I think there's more to do with the Bloody Mary. There's more to do. Do you ever find a mimosa bar? No, you find a Bloody Mary bar.
I'll make a mimosa bar in my basement.
What are you going to do? Hey, I got orange juice and I got some champagne. Sit on down.
That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Here's a funny story. A prior life, my wife and I were married, no kids. And our friends and I, we were millennials, so we enjoy a good brunch. So we would go, and same thing. They'd always have the Bloody Mary bar, and we'd hang out and enjoy our brunch. So when COVID hit, all the restaurants got closed. One of the most fun days that my wife and I had in COVID was on a Saturday. I made her an at-home Bloody Mary bar in our basement. I got pretzel rods. I got the cube cheese. I got a little pepperoni. I got bacon for myself. And then I got our favorite Bloody Mary mix. So we had some vodka, some ice down there. We sat down. We watched stand-up comedy for like 8 hours that day, just hanging out. And I played my Sega Genesis to throwback. And we just hung out. It was one of the best days. So the at-home Bloody Mary. How many people out there listening or watching right now, when you wake up to go to the Browns game on Sunday, what are you packing? Your Bloody Mary stuff. Because you know how many establishments.
I'm bringing a bottle of champagne. I'm bringing my orange juice.
And everybody's going to leave your tailgate, Brian. Everybody's going to leave your tailgate.
What I drink.
No, get out. Come on now.
We need Jack's vote. He's here.
Jack, come on in. Jack Duffin's going to join us. Now, Jack might vote for another beverage that I like very much in the Irish coffee, Jack, because that's another favorite for me. We're debating brunch beverages this morning. Mimosas or Bloody Marys? Your vote, please.
It'd be a Bloody Mary.
Oh, but that's why we have Jack on the show.
I drink cider all hours of the day, so I mean, I'm perfectly content with going for a cider. And it's usually 6 o'clock for a 1 o'clock kickoff for me. So everyone else is worrying about can they start drinking. I've been on it 6 hours, so it's all good.
I love it. So many people love the London games. So they're like, oh, you wake up kind of early. For those who don't know, Jack's over in the UK. So you're flipped, man. So your Sunday is really the perfect one where you get all these hours of just hanging out, but then you probably have to stay up till 3 in the morning to watch games, right?
Yeah, primetime games that are for a 1:20 or 1:15 kickoff in the morning, not great.
No.
Weren't too bad last night because my sleep pattern is still destroyed from being on the west coast of the States. So I couldn't sleep and I got to enjoy a good game.
There you go. Well, the Browns are 4 o'clock this weekend. So what time? So they're in Seattle, 4 o'clock for us. What's that? That's got to be 10 o'clock or something for you?
Yeah, 9, whatever it is.
Well, we will see how it goes. Jack Duffin joining us, of course. We want to have Jack on really because there's a lot going on right now with some Browns on the roster side of things, most notably P.J. Walker. So, Jack, Browns cap and roster building at the OBR. Jack, when it comes to P.J. Walker, explain to everybody this practice squad elevation, what it is in the NFL, and maybe what you think the Browns will do with P.J. Walker moving forward.
Yeah, so with the practice squad, you can sign 16 players there. You can let them go as you want. You're still in full control. But you can elevate a player up to 3 times during the regular season. So it's one where PJ Walker's now done his 3. And if he is going to play another snap for the Cleveland Browns this year, he has to be signed to the 53-man roster. They cannot elevate him again because that's there just to protect a player. So it's forcing a team into a decision rather than being stuck on a practice squad earning a lot less than you would be if you're on the 53. So yeah, he's now going to, I'd expect to get signed today. That is what I believe the Jackson move is about, to free up a roster spot for him to come in. But I guess we'll see that confirmed later on today.
I'm sorry, so that you believe it might be the Deion Jackson move? Like, because he was signed to the active roster for this game, you think that'll just be the cut and then they'll bring up Walker?
Yeah, it's already been announced that he's getting waived.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
So
There's your move.
He's off, that would make the most logical sense. But hey, it's the Browns, so we take it with a pinch of salt.
Jack, what would you do with Watson with IR? We played the clip earlier from Coach Stefanski. He sounded a little flustered on it, didn't want to answer. Our question this morning is, would you put Deshaun Watson on IR?
In all honesty, I wouldn't. I would just leave him around there because it's not no one knows. And I think that stems all the way to the medical team because there was obviously conflicting stuff early on there that I don't know whether it's misdiagnosis or what happened early on with, can he, can't he play? That probably naturally stems from them. But I wouldn't say the idea of locking him out for 4 games doesn't make sense. You've got enough inactive spots on the roster that you can just leave him inactive for 2, 3, even if it is 4 or 5 weeks. The value of that one roster spot isn't enough for me to go put him on IR. It's just like allow him the time it takes to get better. But if it is 1 week, if it is 4 weeks, I'm cool with him burning a roster spot that, hey, if a Deion Jackson on the bottom of a 53 or someone else, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I agree with you. I said don't put him on. Just kind of play it out, see how it goes. Jack Duffin joining us from the OBR. Follow him on Twitter at Jack Duffin. When the Browns, with Jerome Ford as well, missing a couple of weeks, so now you're down to Pierre Strong and Kareem Hunt. And I think, Jack, you've done this before, too, where you look at the averages of how many players per position the Browns carry and how many guys they make active on Sunday and all that kind of stuff. It's great to follow at the OBR. When you look at the Browns' current roster construction, can they live with just those 2 running backs that you think and use that position to elevate Walker? And a lot of people have the question, too, Jack, why wasn't DTR the emergency 3rd quarterback on Sunday? I thought that was a little confusing as well.
So I'll do that one first. To have an emergency quarterback, which is the 3rd quarterback, can be inactive, and then he would play only if the other 2 are injured. You have to have all 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. They can't be practice squad elevations. So if we then see Walker signed to the 53 this week, that 3rd quarterback would qualify for the emergency rule next week. So even if Deshaun Watson doesn't suit up, he could, in theory, play if the other 2 go out injured. You can't bench a quarterback and qualify for the 3rd QB rule. They both have to be legit injuries.
Well, real quick, Jack, not to cut you off, that is even more of a reason to not put Watson on IR, because now if they do elevate Walker to the active roster, you're going to have that 3rd quarterback kick in, and there's even more of a reason maybe not to put him on IR because now you have that built-in, kind of backup.
Yeah, he could. Hopefully we never get to the spot where both Walker and DTR go down in the game. But in theory, you could then pull them up and go, look, we know you're not 100%, but can you just go out there and throw a couple of balls to end the game? I don't think, even though under center, Harrison Bryant this season, 80% success rate on 1st downs, 4 for 5, I'm not ready for Harrison Bryant quarterback.
Yeah, no, we don't need that. I mean, we'll just be sneaking and pushing it all the way down, trying to get a 1st down right there. Not a world I want to live in. Jack Duffin joining us. Might be a hard question here for you, Jack, but this seems to be the time, and we're going to talk a lot of trades coming up, but I feel like we're entering that era where maybe some extensions come out. Like we've had in-season extensions before. We've talked about some of the guys that are eligible, some of the guys that maybe have popped up. I don't know about Donovan Peoples-Jones at this point of the season. My guy Grant Delpit has been playing like a man possessed, so I'm sure he's earned himself a lot of money. On that extension front, do you see anybody as a potential for in-season right now?
Corey Bjorquist, probably. I went left field last year and went with a long snapper as the most likely person to get extended next, and it did happen.
Charlie Hewlett paid well.
I think Bjorkquist is probably the most likely in season, because I think with Delpit they probably want to see what they're getting before they commit, because the first 3 games was elite, and then we've been not bad, but we've been near our average in the last 3. And hey, you can throw that onto Jed Wills. For the first 4 games of the season, Jed Wills looked like a replacement level player, and he's been league average the last 2 weeks. So it's one that you don't want to spend crazy money on Grant Delpit off a 3 elite game sample size, and then you're tied into 15 million a year, and it's not great. I worry about any long-term future for JOK in Cleveland. The fact that it seems like he was benched in that last game. He around under 50% of snaps. The fact that Tony Fields got nearly the same amount, I think 2 less snaps, that speaks volumes to the way the coaching staff view him.
And
Walker
Jack,
was 100%.
there was a drive, I think 1 or 2 full drives that we didn't see JOK in any packages out there. That's a great point to bring up. I mean, not great for JOK, but you're right. There were whole drives that we didn't see him out there.
And it's like, if he wants to be in that range of, he's not going to be in the top linebacker numbers like some of these guys from 49ers where they're talking 20 million a year. But even if he wants to be in that 15 million range, you've got to be playing 70% of snaps. The thought that a coach would ever take you out if you're going to be earning 10 million a year or more, it's just, you shouldn't be doing it. So I worry about his, and that's it, because guys like Newsom, etc., you can't touch until they complete year 3. And you asked me about running backs earlier. They could roll with just 2 on the 53-man roster, but they would need other guys on the practice squad, because in previous years, 3.7 was their average across the whole year last season for how many were active on game day. But they've always had 4 on the 53-man, and that's not including Felton, because he was always a bit of a wide receiver instead. So it's one that, in theory, they could have 2, but they're going to need to sign a guy, somebody in there that they can put on the practice squad and then elevate them on game day.
I was going to say elevate them, yeah. And then they're just out there if you need them, maybe a little special teams, but just kind of burn your elevations through one of those guys, right?
Yeah, and you're allowed 2 elevations for every game, so that they could go that route. When Chubb went down, the player I had my eye on was Cordero Patterson. I think that would be an intriguing trade. He's due $2.6 million for the rest of this year, which isn't a crazy amount. It's more than you want to spend, but I think he just brings something different to the game. And he's Atlanta's 3rd QB. People are asking about, hey, can you trade for this team's running back 1? Or even Zach Moss, people have been asking about who's running back 2. It's like, unlikely. You start talking about a running back 3 that is on a little bit more money. That's definitely in play. Dearness Johnson's another one lots of people ask on.
Yeah.
He's playing over 50% of special team snaps. So if you're Jacksonville, what are you don't take away one of your core special teamers unless you're getting something in return. So I don't see him as on the trade block, unless you were going to give up sort of say a 5th or something, and then why would you even bother? So I think it's an interesting one. And hey, you've still got Playoff Lenny out there. And if you sign Playoff Lenny, you're guaranteed January football. So it's got to be intriguing.
Just on that alone, the jersey sales as well, Jack. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense for the Browns. One guy, if they brought back, I think people wouldn't have to buy a new jersey. They just bring him back from last year. That would be Jacoby Brissett. I want to give you the floor here, Jack. However you feel about it, his name has been brought up, is that if Watson's going to miss extended time, that if you got to turn it over to somebody, we know he didn't win that job. It's Sam Howell's job. I looked up his cap yesterday, talking about Brissett. You could get him for, I think, half the season basically, so you're about $4 million, maybe a little more. Jack, the floor is yours. Do you believe the Browns should go make a trade for Jacoby Brissett?
So I don't. And the reason why is he is better than what we're getting at QB play. And that's I think that's just 100% agreed. But what would you have to give up? If you're looking at the Commanders and Ron Rivera, who effectively manages personnel as well as being the head coach, he knows he has to win this year or he's probably out of a job. And he needs to push and try and make a playoff spot. So what benefit is he going to get by trading away his backup QB for a pick for the next GM if he gets fired? So you're going to have to offer something that's going to entice them to do a deal. On the market, he cost $8 million this offseason. Dobbs was $2 million, so 4 times more valuable than Dobbs, according to the NFL as a bidding market. Dobbs went for a 5th, and you got Dobbs and the 7th went for a 5th. So I think you're probably looking at a 3rd round pick for half a season of Jacoby Brissett. That is not a price I'm willing to pay, because if you call a team, they're going to know you're desperate. They've got all the leverage, and Ron Rivera's in no pressure to help someone a year after him. So I'm just not willing to give up that level of asset for nice play, and it could help us get to the playoffs. But the goal isn't to, hey, hang a banner, we got to the playoffs. The goal is to win a Super Bowl. And trading a 3rd round pick that could be in a package to potentially trade up and draft a quarterback next year, that I want to leave as many options on the table. And I just don't think the difference is enough for Jacoby Brissett. If we'd have been talking Kirk Cousins, I was interested in crazy trades that looked at him, because I think he's capable of winning postseason games. He's won as many as Deshaun Watson. So it's one that's now unfortunately dead, because he won and played really well last night. I went and bet during the game that, hey, playoffs Vikings.
Oh, all right, Jack. You're getting a little spicy on the Vikes there.
At 310, it was like, it's worth it, because their next 6 games are all easy. You put together a nice little run, you're in a good spot. So I think it's one where you probably stay pat at quarterback, but we only need to win 6 of the last 11 games. You do that, you've got 10 wins, highly likely that you then make the playoffs. And hey, if we make the playoffs, that's 11 weeks to get the offense sorted out. And lots of these teams that go on to win titles aren't great in the first sort of 5-6 games of a season, and they just get better every single week. I think that is still possible. And hey, we've got a good enough team that I think we can win 6 of these.
Jack Duffin joining us from the OBR. Follow him on Twitter at Jack Duffin. Cap, roster, all of it. It's got to be one of your fun times of the year, Jack, with the trade deadline right around the corner. We saw Kevin Byard get moved. People think the Titans are going to be sellers. I don't want Derrick Henry. I don't know what they're going to be able to do with them. But in general, do you think there are positions? We know the reports came out from Diana Rossini, wide receiver and offensive line help might be there for the Browns. Do you believe those would be starting level guys? Like, where do you think the Browns stand as they enter the last week here till the trade deadline?
Yeah, I know Garrett Bowles has been a really popular name for people to throw out there, but I don't even remember the last time a team traded their starting left tackle during the season. I just don't think it's one of those spots that you ever consider. And the Broncos do want to go on and have some success. I know they've given up in a lot of aspects and said, hey, it's not happening this year, but you can't put Wilson out there to get murdered by starting whoever schmuck you find to replace your starting left tackle, because it's not going to be good. So I just don't think that's realistic. Wide receiver, I think you could look for some sort of basement guys, but the question's always, when you sign a guy, who are you getting rid of? Because you're not getting rid of Tillman, you're not getting rid of Bell, because you're hoping he can develop into something. And so it's Goodwin, but Goodwin started taking a real role in the last 2 weeks. Before that, he was a fringe guy, and it was like, what on earth are we doing with him here? Whereas he looks like they're trying to get him implementing the game plan. So I think it's one where you potentially stay. But Travis Marshall, if he was dirt cheap, that would intrigue me. But I think we're probably looking at potentially a running back, but I don't think they're that committed. They could have gone and got him instead of Hunt, and they decided to go back to Hunt. And then I look at the defensive side, and I'm like, who do you want to cut to bring someone in? Mm-hmm. It's just not one. Jeremy Chin, if he was dirt cheap, and he is going to be fit later in the season, I would consider a late pick swap for him, because you just never know where injuries might strike. But no, I think we're pretty much staying put. There's been some rumours on defensive line. I don't see it, because I think we're really strong there. And it's, again, who are you getting rid of out of the 10? It's not one of the 2 rookies you've just drafted. So someone's got to go. I think the lack of an injury and a really deep roster means we'll be pretty quiet. With the exception of running back for me, Cordero Patterson would be the one I'd pick up the phone and go, what's it going to take? We'll give you a 5th for a 7th. Let's just get the deal done and bring someone in.
Yeah, and my thing on Bulls real quick, I agree, because there was also no world that I ever saw Garrett Bowles and Jed Wills both on this roster for the cap numbers that they would be. I said you either had to get Wills out of there in the same deal or trade him away or move Wills back to right tackle. And then you combo in with what you said, Jack, which I agree. Wills has actually been playing a little bit better recently. So I think we can go ahead and scratch that Garrett Bowles one off. I don't think Jerry Jeudy's coming, all that. Final question, Jack, on the way out. Just in the NFL. So we've seen Bayard get moved. He was an all-pro player. We've seen some of these other trades. Do you believe this is going to be a really busy trade week in the NFL or one of the more quiet ones, relative knowing that the NFL one is nothing like the NBA or baseball trade deadline?
Yeah, I think we'll see some fun, but it's more likely it's not going to be high profile guys. I think it's more likely to be your Bayard, stuff like that, sort of roster pieces from teams that are going, hey, our season's done. And it usually tends to be guys that are out of contract at the end of this season. So they're not pieces for the long term. It's just guys. And keep an eye out for injuries because I think is at the end of, have we got this next series of games or does it close just before?
I think it's I want to say it's next Tuesday. Yeah. It's always, I feel like it's always on a Tuesday at 4:00. So I'm pretty sure it's a week away.
If there's any injuries next week, that's the time where it goes crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone got injured looking back at the games this past week, but if we see injuries next week, that's where you get some panic selling where people are going out and buying. Because if you get to that situation, say Okoronkwo goes down, you're picking up the phone and you're going out and buying an edge. Doesn't matter who it is, you're getting somebody in there. So injuries are the key thing to keep an eye on now. Anyone goes down in practice, go and make a move. And hey, we're in a nice spot. In the past, we're looking at the Browns roster and we're going, hey, we can add a player at every single position. We can't because you've got guys like Okoronkwo, you've got guys like Maurice Hurst, you've got guys that are producing really, really good football from depth. And hey, we're not used to depth in Cleveland. We're not used to even good starters. So hey, it's evolving roster building.
It's a new world to be in, Jack. We really appreciate your time. As always, at Jack Duffin. Follow him there on Twitter, Browns Cap and Roster Building at the OBR. Jack, we'll catch up, maybe see if the Browns do make a move at the trade deadline. I'm kind of with you. I don't think so, but we'll catch up soon. All right, I appreciate it, and go get yourself a Bloody Mary here in the midday over there for you in the UK.
Enjoy it.
Hey, Jack, producer Ryan here. Just a quick question for fun. What do you gauge as the trade value for somebody like Derrick Henry? I think he has like $6 million left on his contract. And also who do you see as the most likely potential buyers right now?
So I think something like a fourth probably gets Derrick Henry done because it's just more about A, dumping salary, and B, teams want to sort of, you can't officially tank, but if you start getting rid of your good players, you lose more and you go higher up in the draft to get the quarterback of your dreams next year because Ryan Tannehill's pretty much done in Tennessee. So they're keen to sell. And also usually in the NFL, it's like you don't see trades within the division, within the conference.
Right.
When you are tearing apart at the end of the season and guys are going to be free agents and your season's done, you sell to whoever the highest bidder is. It doesn't really matter. It's just like take the money and go. Which teams out there? I think injuries will be a big part, but 49ers will probably look to strengthen after just a couple of losses. You get some panic buying. Dolphins, Bills, I think are definitely going to be out there looking.
Being thrown around.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I've been seeing the Bills as a name that's been thrown out for a potential Derrick Henry trade, which would be super interesting.
Yeah, I'm happy that the Vikings won last night because I just felt like Hunter was going to end up with the Baltimore Ravens. That just felt like such a Ravens move. So when they won, I was like, yes, kill that trade. It's always good to know that the Ravens shouldn't be getting better.
Yeah, there we go. Great stuff, Jack. We'll talk soon, all right?
All the best. Bye.
There he goes. Jack Duffin from the OBR. A third for Jacoby Brissett. I agree with Jack. That's too rich for my blood. It is. I was sitting here discussing maybe you could get a fifth because that's what you got back for Dobbs. But Jack brought up some great points. So that's why we love having him on all the time. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, it's just such that balance, right? Because, and then you saw the look that I made with what Jack said. He goes, you might need that 3 to move up and go to the quarterback next year. He's not wrong, man. Like, he's not wrong. And that is kind of maybe a situation that Andrew Berry needs to start thinking about. You are down draft picks. and you might be back to square one that you were a couple of years ago, needing to go find a quarterback.
Yeah.
We all hope that that's not the case, but that is true.
Yeah.
And don't forget, there was a 3 as a part of that deal. Yeah, you need ones and stuff. And what Jack is talking about, not about trading for a quarterback, but if you got to move up to go draft one. And I'm not a GM, so it's easy for me to talk mad and do all that kind of stuff. I don't care about a 5th-round pick. I don't care about it. And he mentioned it. Sometimes these bottom-of-the-barrel players, it's just a pick swap. You get a player, and then you swap 7s or you swap 6, and that's just a salary cap move for some of these teams. Yeah, sure. With Brissett, I loved every one of Jack's points. It's Ron Rivera's probably last year in Washington. Why does he want to set up the next quarterback or next GM or next coach with anything? B, it is still just Sam Howell. There is a world that they got to turn it back over to Brissett. And you're only paying him. I mean, they're paying him the season, but to trade him for, they have all the power in that. They do. Free agent, we didn't get a chance to ask Jack about it, but of the free agent list of guys, nobody out there really does it for anybody. And it's all under the guise or all under the assumption that Deshaun Watson will be back at some point. Do you make this move? You can't trade them a conditional pick and go, well, we'll just get it back if he doesn't end up playing. There are conditional trades on, the Aaron Rodgers trade. It was a 2 or a 1 going back to Green Bay. And now it's going to be a 2 because Rodgers got hurt and he's not going to meet a playtime criteria for that. You're not getting a playtime criteria trade for Jacoby Brissett. What do? You call him and you say, hey, we'll give you a 4, but it'll turn into a 3 if he plays X number of games. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I would probably make that trade. I'm not going to lie. I would make that trade. And you can do that, conditions on those trades. I don't think it matters if it's in season or off season. But if you called Washington and you said, here's a 4 for Brissett, we'll pick up the rest of his contract for the rest of the year, and it'll turn into a 3 if he needs to start 2 games for us. Even 2. And then, you're safeguarding to what another great point by Jack. What is the end goal? Yeah, to go win a Super Bowl. I get that. Is making the playoffs, I think, a big step this year? Sure. But in the grand scheme of it, are you still in position to go win a Super Bowl? Here's the crappiest part of all of this, Ryan. If Deshaun Watson was playing and healthy, you would be a Super Bowl contending team right now. You would have some of the best odds of any team in the NFL to go win the Super Bowl. And we are robbed of that because he's hurt. That's annoying. Just to say, there's a lot of words you can throw in there. That's definitely annoying. And your question is, all right, let me ask you this. Again, a million good questions for Jack. Call him back, see what he's doing. So too late, he's already got his Bloody Mary. Damn it. Would Jacoby Brissett change your opinion on Deshaun Watson on IR? If you had Jacoby Brissett here, but take everything else out of it. Don't worry about the trade. Jacoby Brissett is on your doorstep. He shows up with his bags and he's ready to go. Would that then make you feel more comfortable about putting Deshaun Watson on IR? Now, Ryan, you come from the standpoint you already put Watson on IR, but I would imagine Jacoby Brissett would make you feel better about that.
100%.
It make me feel better about it.
Yeah, look at it that way. If let's say we have Jacoby Brissett and we're playing a game of who knows what's going to happen, but
throw everything else. He walks into 76 Lou Groza ball already. He's back.
Yeah. So you go into Seattle, right? That is a really, really tough game. However, do I love my chances with Jacoby Brissett more than I do PJ Walker, DTR? Absolutely, okay? And then we're in Arizona. I don't think it shouldn't matter, but obviously your chances are better there, okay? And then you have a really tough game at home against Baltimore. Maybe you mess around and you go win that.
So I put this out yesterday at Matt Fontana. I just retweeted it, and if you can, Ryan, hit a retweet from our show, Twitter as well. If it were up to you, the Browns' injury replacement, and I said it could be 1 game, it could be 3 games, it could be 11 games. PJ Walker, Carson Wentz, Jacoby Brissett, and DTR. 75% of the vote is on Jacoby Brissett. 11% is on PJ Walker. 8.5% is on Carson Wentz, and 5% is on DTR. And is that a social media type move? Potentially. Is that something that would appease the fans a little bit? Sure. Should anybody in the organization ever listen to what the fans want? No. Outside of like stadium updates or they do focus groups on what people think about the concessions. Sure, that's fine. Roster moves? Please don't. Don't do that. But that would be one that would probably be, pretty unanimously applauded by the fans. But again, if it cost you a 3, which is what Jack thinks it could be, it's a little rich for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do
that. It's a little rich for me. All right, let's revisit that in hour 2. I want to get to the morning update. We got to talk baseball. Guardians potentially zeroing in on a new manager. Younger guy, former player, Stephen Vaught. He's up available. It sounds like he's the leading candidate. We'll discuss that. We got to get back into this Harbaugh situation. Even more news is coming out about just how scummy, just how deep this goes. And it goes back to like conspiracy theories and investigative reporting. Big Play I team did not get the call. Maybe we should get on this. Maybe we need to head up to Ann Arbor and get the team on this. But just really how deep this goes. This guy from Michigan that was stealing signs, they now have ticket records. They have video of the people sitting in the seats that he had purchased. All of these things. The TCU game in the playoffs all of a sudden now becoming a story. We'll discuss all of that. We'll get into an hour 2. We got Time Hop. Our bracket, do not forget, I added Casper to our bracket. Because not all horror.
It's a friendly guy.
Friendly guy. Friendly ghost. It's your favorite Halloween character. So yeah, Michael Myers, Ghostface, Casper, Beetlejuice. Ryan just saw Beetlejuice for the first time, so that was, of course, his nomination. So we'll take those in the Twitter inbox, at Matt Fontana Show, at Matt Fontana3. Ryan, do you have the YouTube up? I always neglect the YouTube comments.
I can pull it up real quick.
Pull it up. See if there's any comments for our votes for our Twitter handle, or I'm sorry, for our bracket this week. So get that coming up. We'll get to that. Folks, Big Play. We're everywhere you need us to be. We're on the iHeart app. Download that. It is super easy. You just search Big Play, and you'll get our show 9 to 11 every day. Chico is on 12 to 2 every day. Live stream of the shows, and then we re-air the shows throughout the day. But you'll get Reflog. You will get tonight Josh and Maria Cribbs on the return. Booby's World is back. Cavs tip off tomorrow night. Hanford. You get Greg Williams show. You get Bruce Drennan show. It's everywhere you need it. iHeart app has your audio if you need it. The video side of things, we are on Bally's. You'll catch some of the shows on Bally Great Lakes. You'll see Bobby's show. You'll see Josh and Maria's show. You'll see the Hanford Dixon show. They're up there, but if you need them on social media, just go to Big Play. All of the shows have their own individual handles, so it'd be easier just for me to tell you, just go to Big Play. Follow Big Play on Twitter or check out our website, bigplay.com. I think the werewolf shirts are here. We have merchandise on there too, like the Big Play shirt. But there's a new werewolf one from Cody, and I want it. And there was one on the desk, and I didn't want to assume. But if it's there tomorrow, I'm stealing one. I don't know, I'll be taking one. Get all of our merch there, all of our show schedules. It's up. Big Play, where you want it, how you want it, when you want it. A new way of enjoying entertainment. We'll tell you all we got our bets, too, coming up with Tipico. A lot coming up in hour 2. We'll kick it off the morning update next. Stay with us. right, we'll get to morning update. I got to make a ruling on the bracket. I'm not going to include The Thing. I love that movie. John Carpenter is a genius. Have you seen The Thing, Ryan?
I haven't.
What? Gonna have to make a list for you. Kurt Russell. Do you like alien movies?
Yes.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
If you like alien movies, as far and this is kind of a shot. I don't like the Alien franchise. Is kind of like, I respect it. The best alien movies are Predator and The Thing. Outside of like Close Encounters with the Third Kind and Independence Day and shout out to Mars Attacks. I love that movie too. But as far as like horror, alien, like The Thing and the Predator, the best. You got to see The Thing. I'm not going to include that because I don't really see that as being a Halloween type of movie. So I apologize. We'll still need a couple more to fill it out. So tweet us if you have your favorite Halloween character. We'll get to that coming up. We'll get to our YouTube page too because I know there's some comments in there as well. Take it away, Ryan. A little bit of morning update. We'll do it again.
No,
That's
don't
fine.
need that intro again.
Don't need it again.
Anyway.
People know where we're at.
Already at football world, well, we did see the Vikings get a surprising win, but other than that, we saw Chris Olave was arrested on suspicion of reckless driving. It was reported he was going 70 miles an hour in a 35. And as a fantasy owner, not good news for me.
I mean, I don't think he'll be suspended for that. I mean, you got to remember that I'm not making an excuse for him. He's a young person. He knows he probably shouldn't do that. It's a world. And I think the organizations that you see, and knowing just kind of what I know more about the Browns than some other, they take a lot of that off the field stuff serious. They sit down with them and they say, guys, you are a young person. Some of these guys, you have a lot of money given to you. You're going to buy a nice car. You're going to buy all these nice things. You're going to go out. You're going to live your life. You're going to be at the nightclub. But just don't ever let it distract from your job. Don't ever let it be something that impacts your ability to do this. You are blessed to be able to do this career. I'm sure I don't think there will be a suspension, but, still, just be smart or drive safe.
Alrighty, well, the baseball world. We saw the Rangers dethrone the Astros. They're going to the World Series. Adolis Garcia is named the MVP.
I saw the stat. The most impressive thing to me was it's only the second time in Major League Baseball history that a championship series was won all on the road. Every game was won on the road. And that's only the second time in MLB history. It's the first time for the Rangers since 2011 that they are going to the World Series, if I'm not mistaken on that. How many World Series championships do you believe the Rangers have?
I don't know. I'm going to say 2. 0.
None.
Ooh, okay.
None.
Who do they lose to in that? The Cardinals?
So they've only gone to the World Series 3 times. 2010, 2011, and now this year. In 2020, they lost to... let me see the World Series here. They lost to the San Francisco Giants. They lose to the Giants both of those years? No. I'm sorry. The Cardinals.
Yeah, okay.
So they lost to the Giants and the Cardinals in back-to-back years when they went in 2010 and 2011. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy because, like, the Texas Rangers, in 1961. So, I mean, that's not like, the Cleveland era where we go all the way back to the 20s, and they've been around for quite a while, and they've only gone 3 times. I'll tell you what, if it's the Philly, I just think it's the Phillies. Right? Even watching yesterday, which I'm sure we'll get to that game in a second, but I'll tell you this. Congratulations to the Rangers, mostly because they beat the Astros. And I picked the Astros because I thought they were going to win. Maybe that was me putting a little Maloik on them because I'm the Maloik master right now when it comes to baseball. But good for them doing it, man. Like, there's something to be said about they have money. They spend. Like, they have some top players there. But I think it's good for them, man. Congratulations, and they'll be waiting to see who they face.
Alrighty, well, basketball right around the corner, Matt. The Cavs tip off their season tomorrow at the Nets. They enter as a 2.5-point favorite, but the Celtics and Bucks have the top odds to win the NBA championship. Celtics are listed at plus 380, followed by Milwaukee at 400, and then the reigning champion Nuggets at plus 420.
So I will do this tomorrow on the show. I didn't even tell you this, but tomorrow we will dedicate an entire segment of our NBA predictions, champion, MVP. I think I might go Victor Wembanyama, Rookie of the Year. I don't know. know. We'll just see how it goes. I might put it on you to say somebody other than Wemby to win Rookie of the Year. So we get to that, and we will also place our Cavs bets on Tipico, over-under on the win total. And I have a fun one, not that we can bet on it, but at the end of it, over-under Donovan Mitchell points per game, Darius Garland, things like that. So we'll do our Cavs kind of coverage tomorrow. It does tip off tonight. I'll save our predictions for tomorrow. Let's do that for our NBA champion and the whatnot tomorrow.
Alrighty, we'll stick it in the basketball world. Giannis Antetokounmpo with a major 3-year, $186 million extension. Seems like he wants to stay there long term after they got him a great player in Damian Lillard.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You kind of, like a star player would, you held the team a little accountable, and then they got your player, and you said, okay, I'm back in. And it's not saying that he can't get out of that deal or that they won't trade him one day. But you just, there's something to be said. And the NBA has set a lot of things up to make it so star players don't leave their team with bird rights and certain extensions that can be handed out, things like that. You know what the NBA wants? They want Giannis Antetokounmpo to stay in Milwaukee. As long as they have some stars in their big markets, which they do, the NBA is not quite the victim, in my opinion, of some other leagues that have, need star players in star markets. It helps if somebody was good on the Knicks. It's not a shot at Brunson or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, there's a world that they would probably like Luka Doncic to go to New York or something like that, but they're okay with their players staying where they're drafted or where they've kind of built it up. So happy for Giannis. It sucks that we're going to have to face him for a long time because I really don't think he's going anywhere.
Already, well, the deadline passed, and the Cavs did not reach an extension agreement with Isaac Okoro, but that doesn't mean much. He's still 22 years old. He's got a big year. He's betting on himself. We'll see how he does this year. Yeah, I mean, Okoro's going to have to market himself and turn himself into a 3-and-D guy, and his three-point shooting ascended a little bit, then kind of went back down, and the defense is the defense. But if he wants to make his name in the NBA, it's probably going to be as that. Could he be a starting small forward in the NBA? Sure. And there are worlds that the Cavs will do that. I think it's probably going to be Max Strus at this point. I don't know that, but we'll see. I'm not. This isn't a shot at Isaac Okoro. I don't, whatever. If he signs an extension, great. If he doesn't, you can find a replacement. I think you can. Alrighty, well, we'll end the morning update with the Guardians. A new candidate for manager has emerged, and there's been some mixed reactions on Twitter. Retired player Stephen Vogt.
What? Honestly, I swear to some people out there, what do you know? You don't know anything. What? What, because it's not Bob Melvin? Because it's not a name that you know? Who is upset? What the hell do you know? Nothing. That's the answer. I'm just going to trust that Mike Chernoff and Chris Antonetti know a little more than you and me. The thing's going for him, okay? He's a younger guy. He is what?
I believe he's 38.
38, okay. I think it goes a long way that he is a former player, made a couple of all-star teams. The only negative thing, he's only been in the coaching racket a year. He literally was playing in 2022. This past year was his first year as a coach out there in Seattle. That could be your only negative on it. Baseball's different. Baseball's different than basketball. It's different than certainly football. Football, you don't have that. Football, it's you got to go be a GA at some crap college for a little bit and be an unpaid intern. And then college or football is all about who you know. That is, you want to know anything about coaching in the NFL or college? The only thing you need to know, it's all about who you know. And it's who got you a job in the past. And yes, we know about Pat Shurmur, and his uncle was Mike Holmgren's defensive coordinator. And okay, fine. I get it. That's football. Basketball, you see a lot of former players, but again, Ty Lue and Steve Nash and Jason Kidd, they took a couple of years. Baseball's different, man. Stephen spent his whole life around the game. He's got into the coaching racket a little bit. If they think he's it, then he's it. In an analytic world where he's going to be listening to a lot of the things that the guys are telling him, baseball, it's about culture. It's what can he do to set the culture here or to continue the culture that Terry Francona has cultivated here. That's the key. if people want to start bitching about he could be manipulated, maybe he's just a puppet. He's just a puppet for Francona and all that. How the rumor came out yesterday from Jeff Passan, and you're telling me our people are actually, oh, wait a minute. I don't buy it. I don't buy anybody out there that's against this. Who are you going to hire? Who else are you going to get? Can half the people out there even tell you who the Diamondbacks manager is?
I couldn't.
Torey LaBelle. And he's a guy, I don't want to shoot from the hip here, but he's a guy that I don't think he played. Or if he did, it wasn't very long. But, his ascension has been pretty... Okay, so Lovello is a little older. He's 58. But this... Oh, he's been the manager since 2017, right? But I was looking up his coaching. So he coached for 6 years before he became the manager of the Diamondbacks. And he kind of has built it up over this time. Now, they've been really, really stinky. They've been really bad. So he was a player. Did you know he actually played for the Indians one year in 1998? Torey LaVella. So there you go. Most people don't even know who he is, and his team's a win away from going to the World Series. It's not that super important of a hire. I think it to a degree, yes. But if Cherney and Chris Antonetti feel like Stephen Vought's the best guy to do it, then that's who they're going to sign. And I trust them for that. All right, great stuff. We'll get to our baseball because we have Game 7 tonight between Arizona and the Phillies. I did not think the Diamondbacks were going to get that win yesterday. You see Bryce Harper? He dressed to be all black. Somebody said he was going to a funeral, going to that game. Well, a little backfired him on that. So we'll get our selections for that. We do have some NBA games to get to as well. So I love this with Tipico because now we can get into this with betting in basketball and, of course, baseball tonight. So we get to that a little bit later. But we got to get back into this Michigan situation. So this is continued on. For those that don't know, Michigan is caught in a giant scandal right now where one of their staffers was alleged to be sign stealing other teams. And he was doing it digitally, which was against the rules. And they've suspended this guy with pay. They're now in the investigation phase. And this is what they have found. This came from Pete Thamel and Mark Schlabel of ESPN. So Connor Stallions is his name. And did you see yesterday that on his LinkedIn, he was basically bragging about his investigative job? He's a former U.S. Marine Corps serviceman. And on his LinkedIn, he basically said, my job is to snoop and sneak on other teams. Probably shouldn't put that on LinkedIn. But here we are. So here it is. He purchased tickets. This is the revelation that came out yesterday. Not stupid, Ryan. He purchased the tickets in his own name. You couldn't find somebody else to do this? He purchased tickets in his own name for more than 30 games over the past 3 years at 11 different Big Ten schools. Sources confirmed to ESPN. The scope of University of Michigan's alleged sign-stealing operation includes both video evidence of electronics, which is prohibited by the NCAA, and a now significant paper trail. Stallions also forwarded the tickets he bought to at least 3 different people in different areas of the country, which hints at the width and scope of the operation. The NCAA is expected to receive video evidence this week of illegal technology used to scout from the ticket seats that Stallions purchased. Opposing Big Ten school looked up in-stadium surveillance video from a game earlier this year. And the sources say the person sitting in the seats that Stallions purchased held their smartphone up the entire game, filming what seemed to be the sideline. They're going to go down, and they're going to go down bad. You talk about flubbing test scores and tutors doing homework. That's one scope. You have a scope of, very unfortunately, sexual assaults and the things sometimes players do outside of it. Very serious. You have the scope, the Penn State scope is one whole different thing. That's on its own. But you see what happened with Art Briles at Baylor. And a lot of times when these sanctions come down, it is, man, they always have this term. What is it, Ryan? It's like not conducive to compliance. Not having a compliance. That's the big word. It's like they're cultivating and not compliant. God bless it. What is that word? Not compliance forms. Somebody help me out.
I wish I could help you, Matt.
Oh, no. What's the word? It's like the thing in the NCAA. Like they're not. They pop them all the time, and they always say that you're building a. Like they always do it for every sanction. They always say that there's something. Somebody help me out. Somebody's calling me, and I don't think it's. I don't think they're calling me to help me out on this. God, it's gonna derail the show. It has derailed the show to this point.
Describe it a little more for me.
It's like they always say that they weren't harboring an environment of something. Like they knew what they were doing, and it's the NCAA term.
Enabling, maybe.
It's kind of something like that.
Harboring,
kind of something. It's not that. It's something else that I don't know what it is. Oh my God.
You're talking about when it's like they aren't necessarily doing anything to get rid of the like environment, but
right. They know what's going on and they do nothing to fix it. And there's a term that the NCAA uses. There's a phrase that the NCAA uses all the time. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
I'll do some investigative work.
We're not going to be able to continue the show. It's just going to annoy me. So I got to figure it out.
Somebody please help Matt.
For the love of God, please. It's literally, it's like, oh my God. I don't want to go to break. Sanctions. Let me see if I can find it. Not academic. Lack of institutional control. That's it.
I would have never pulled that.
That is it. Lack of institutional control.
Did you see it? Was it written somewhere?
I Googled it. Thank God. Weight off of my shoulders. Lack of institutional control. That is the term that I was searching for. Thank God. That's it. So that is something that they'll probably pop, with this. It's not even lack of institutional control. They're breaking the rules. So that my whole point was, a lot of times when these sanctions come down, they pop them for lack of institutional control. You knew that these players were cheating on their test scores, having a tutor doing their homework. You knew about an alleged sexual assault that you did not investigate, or you knew that this player was ineligible. That used to be a big thing back in the day, right? Either grades or transfer or something. You knew this player was ineligible and you still let him play whatever down the line. That is all the stuff that usually happens with the NCAA. This is different because this is a sanction that has nothing to do with the players. This is completely on the coaching staff. And don't tell me for 2 seconds that this didn't all... I don't want to say Harbaugh sat down and go, hey, man, you know what we really should start doing? Do this. But it's still going to fall on his feet. He will leave. He'll leave. This is what's going to happen. They won't do anything right now. They're going to investigate this all season long. And if anything, watch what happens to Michigan. Now, I called that they were going to wax Michigan State because, let's be honest, it's Michigan State. Let's see what they got for Ohio State. Let's see what they got for, the rest of the season. Maybe they'll make the playoffs. Maybe they'll beat Ohio State and go to the Big Ten championship. I don't know. But after the season, when they get a full picture of what happens, yeah, we're going to talk vacated wins, which I think is stupid. There's no point in doing that. But moving forward, I think the NCAA is going to make an example out of them. Because this is a situation that as it starts to close even more in on Michigan with this, there's no way out. Think about it. They have paper trails of this guy, this idiot. What a moron. Why would you buy the tickets yourself And to be honest, why did it not flag at some point that this guy using this name, like, what was he doing? Was he going on SeatGeek? Was he going on, Ticketmaster? And just buying all these tickets? Nothing ever raised a red flag there. Okay, fine. There will be unequivocal evidence that he was doing what we all suspected that he was doing. So the problem is there is no defense here for Michigan. What are they going to say? He's just a really big football fan, and he just wanted to go to all these games. Literally. And that's why I think the NCAA is going to get, because you want to know what? One of the things the NCAA likes more than anything is the illusion that they have power. Because they know that they are corrupt, and they know that their practices are not ever up to the standard or the par that we believe that they are. We would like to think that your favorite school and all of the other schools are on an even playing field and everybody's doing the right thing and there are no illegal recruiting tactics being had and there's no cover-ups at these universities. And you and I all know that's a bunch of bullcrap. So what the NCAA likes to just portray is that they have it under control and that they are the moral police when they're really not. So when something like this happens, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take it out on Michigan. Now, you might be saying they're a legacy program and they wouldn't do that. Did you see what they did to USC? They don't care because they'll just find some other team to step it up. And to the other point I wanted to make, which a lot of people have been bringing up now, tell me you don't sit there and go, well, that explains why Michigan got so good so fast. Yeah, did recruiting help? Sure. Is Blake Corum pretty good? Yeah. I'm not saying that Jim Harbaugh didn't get good players up there. But you see Michigan come back. And I'll be the first to admit, a strong Michigan program is good for the NCAA. Of course it is. They're a blue blood in football terms. NCAA will always be good when big fan bases are good. Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, out on the West Coast. There's nothing in the NCAA they want more than USC to be good again. They would love that. But for right now, it is these type of programs. And then you see them get smoked by TCU, a team that they might not have probably scouted as much as they thought they were going to because they didn't think they were going to make it. And now you ask all these questions.
Matt, I don't know if you saw, but some Twitter investigator
part of the big play I team, potentially.
He went through, his name's Connor Stallion, right?
The guy that did it. Yeah.
So they went through his Venmo history. And
How the hell they get his Venmo history?
So some Venmos are public. If you don't make them private.
What an idiot!
And so what happened was.
Oh my God!
And so what happened was they saw a ton of people sending him money for T-shirts. A bunch of T-shirts. And people have the theory that, well, he was buying these tickets for people and they were paying him back.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He wasn't even giving them the tickets for free?
I guess not. That's the conspiracy.
Hey, right. I need you to go do this illegal thing for me and video these sidelines, but you better give me that $45 for that ticket, man. You ain't walking into that stadium for free.
Either that or he's a big T-shirt reseller and maker.
Hopefully, I guess. Dude, his Venmo transaction, my Venmo is private. I'm not hiding anything. I pay people for fantasy football. My brothers pay me for their cell phone bills. And my Venmo is private. Holy cow. It makes sense he found his way to Michigan because he's an idiot. Holy cow.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the tweets. I'm looking at the tweets right now.
This is great. This keeps getting better and better. I hate Michigan.
It's a ton of people paying him. It's like Irby T-shirt order, LCPL Pierce T-shirt order, Murphy Black hoodie, Alexa Armand T-shirt, BN T-shirt, Bacca One medium green cotton T-shirt. It's just a ton of T-shirts.
Please, God, let it come true that they wore Michigan stuff to the scenes. that they walked into an Illinois-Iowa game with a Michigan hat on and sat in those seats to video the sidelines. Please, God, I'm asking. Oh, please. Please. I would love nothing more than for them to walk in to these seats and hold their cell phone to the sideline while wearing a Michigan hat. I would just love that. That would be the cherry on this Sunday, Ryan.
Imagine getting caught through Venmo.
Do you know how great that would be? Oh, my God.
When you go get the chance, everybody on Twitter, type in Stallions Venmo. Stallions Venmo, and you'll see all the transactions.
Oh, my God. They are making this so easy. Like, oh, man. There's no getting out of this. There's literally, what are they going to do to get out of this?
Someone said, Stallions is an idiot. I don't want people seeing when I paid someone on Venmo for splitting a pizza, let alone football tickets.
Who has it? Whose Venmo is not private? Whose Venmo? Like, I have it, right? So you do see other people, and I understand kind of what Venmo was going for at one point. They're like, oh, we'll be like a social media for paying people. I don't really like social media to begin with, okay? Number two, but if you're talking about my finances and things like that, but also, yeah, who gives a crap if I had to split money? I sent money to my buddy who paid for a beer at the bar or something like that. My Venmo transaction is literally fantasy football payments. My brothers pay me for their cell phone bill because they're on my plan. And I think I send money to my chiropractor on Venmo. Do you want to see that, Ryan? Do you really want to go on your transaction and go, oh, hey, Matt Pater is chiropractor? Like, great job.
Retweet.
Retweet. Good job, Matt. I'm glad to see your chiropractic health is good. Awesome. Fantastic. Oh, this gets better and better. Sources told ESPN of the elaborate scouting system that appears to be emerging less than a week after the Yahoo Sports reported the NCAA was investigating.
I want to know who thought to go look at his Venmo history.
So the other thing was he often purchased the tickets with his own credit card. So the only thing that would have made that better is if he used a Michigan-issued credit card. Like if he had the team credit card, then that would be even better. Sources added that tickets at multiple venues were bought through StubHub or SeatGeek. So there you go. So that's easily trackable. And the tickets fall into a location pattern, shockingly, somewhere around the 45-yard line and raised up enough to have a clear view of the opposite sideline. Source told ESPN that Stallions bought tickets to 5 different games at the school over the past 3 years. Another said it was 4 games over the past 2 years. A third source says it was 9 games over the past 3 years. Some of the purchases were for single tickets. Other were for multiple people. Sometimes seats were bought on both sides of the stadium near midfield. So that's the other weird part of it is when people buy, and I'm not saying one person can't go to a game, but like, yeah, single tickets. This is great. This is,
and you know what's funny about Matt? So I'm going and I'm looking at all the Venmo transactions. A lot of them are a week apart. And what does that say?
Yeah, right.
The games. A week apart.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and last, like, Harbaugh denies it, but then you add in, like, Schiano took a shot at him. It sounded like this was one of the worst kept secrets in the Big Ten, that everybody knew that they were doing this. That is hilarious, man. His Venmo history and, where these tickets were purchased. What an idiot. You know what? I'd add the punishment on for being an idiot. Like, I would add punishment on to Michigan just for like, dude, you're this stupid. You let this happen. Now, there's something to be said, too. It went on for as long as it did before it got popped. But getting into the conspiracy theorist part of it, sounds like somebody knew about this for a long time and then they just waited for the right opportunity. Now would be the right opportunity. Michigan's number 2 in the country. They're staring down the barrel of going to the college football playoffs. But it does go back to how many people read back now on that TCU game and when they got smoked in the playoff, and you go, yeah, kind of makes sense. All right, let's jump into Time Hop. I want to add all this stuff to Time Hop because next year I'm going to go back to like, oh, remember a year ago that idiot guy from Michigan? Yes. Yes, RJ tweets, lack of institutional control. RJ, you are the man. I appreciate you, bro. Yes, lack of institutional control is exactly where I was going with that. So thank you very much, RJ. All right, we'll jump into Time Hop. We'll do that when we return. We got everything that you need to know, including all your bets on Tipico, folks. Download the Tipico app. Use that code BIGPLAY150, and you can get signed right on up and get those bonus bets. NBA tips off tonight. You want to save our boosts for a little bit later, Ryan?
Yeah, let's
I want to look those up a little bit later. But I just love it. I love using Tipico. It's super easy to do. I'm in on the biometric right there. My bets for last night, I went bad on the baseball part of it there because I took both the Astros and the Phillies. I'm the angel of death on that. But I jumped on Marvin Harrison Jr. to win the Heisman. That's all rocking right there. And we'll place our wager for tonight for a little bit of basketball. Lakers and Nuggets. Suns Warriors will tip us off tonight. Warriors are a favorite. Nuggets are favorite there. How about this? I can get you a little boost for the Warriors and the Nuggets to both win plus 160. Right there on Tipico. So use that code BIGPLAY150 when you download the app. You get your bonus bets, deposit $50, get the $150 in bonus bets, plus that $30 dog pound bet as well. And then I do believe, I want to talk to the powers that be. They did text me a little bit earlier. I saw this from Reflog. I think Reflog's got a code too. He's got a link, I think.
I think it's Reflog 150.
Okay. So but I'm saying like that one works too.
Yeah.
So you can check that out at Reflog underscore 18 there. So he's got one too. Basically, here's the thing, folks. Just get signed up and use one of the codes that we got for you. And Tipico's got everything that you need. Big Play 150. Reflog 150's got one as well. Sign up today with Tipico. Time Hop. Let's jump into it. Let's see what we got for history. On your way next. iHeart app, streaming live on YouTube. We're on Facebook and, of course, on Twitter as well. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Stay with us. All right, back here on the Fontana Show, we got a little time hop action for you. It is the 24th of October, and we'll go back in history and tell you exactly what we got, including, this would be 6 years ago today, Ryan, Bleacher Report, with an article out from former Cavaliers general manager Chris Grant, who revealed he never wanted to draft Anthony Bennett. And he said, quote, sometimes you blank up. Well, yeah, I mean, you turned chicken blank into some chicken salad right there because you ended up using that to trade for Kevin Love. I go back to that draft, though, with Anthony Bennett because I remember, like, watching it that night, and you're like, wait a minute, what? Like, there was a lot of names thrown around. 2013, dude, 10 years ago. Number 2 was Victor Oladipo. Otto Porter was 3, Cody Zeller 4, Alex Len, Nerlens Noel, Ben McLemore, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Trey Burke, CJ McCollum. Who'd you want him to take, right? Oh, wait. Giannis Antetokounmpo went 15. Sometimes in drafts like that, Rudy Gobert went 27, too, by the way, as the 2 best players in this draft. Like, in a draft where the top end, and we know that it's a crapshoot in most of the drafts, and you never really know what it's going to be. But, like, that one, there was no clear favorite. And you hate having the first overall pick sometimes when there's no clear favorite. When you need a quarterback in the NFL, you know what you want? A year where it's Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck and a guy that there's no bones about it. And sometimes it works out and sometimes that it doesn't. That draft was all over the place. The thing is that they were able to flip him and get Kevin Love in here, so I guess it all kind of worked out. So, again, 6 years ago today, Chris Grant said what we all knew, that he didn't really want to draft Anthony Bennett. This day, 1992, the Toronto Blue Jays won the World Series, becoming the first non-USA team to win. Of course, they would be the only ones that could do that until there's a team put in Mexico. And at one point, it was Montreal, but they're no longer. This day, 1945, the United Nations was established. The pact has been signed over the summer, but officially took effect this day as the world's premier international peace organization. Don't know how good of a job they're doing right now, but that's politics. We don't talk about it here. This day, 1940, the 40-hour work week went into effect. It was signed in 1938 as part of the U.S. Fair Labor Standards Act. You know who created the 5-day-a-week, 40-hour-a-week work schedule?
Was it a president?
No.
Oh.
Henry Ford.
Oh.
Henry Ford. Assembly line, you know, how they were doing everything in Ford. So, like, what did they do before? You just go to work when you go to work? I don't know. Thankfully, you know, 40 hours, it's pretty standard, I guess. It all works out. This day, 1936, what a day for The Ohio State University, because their marching band performed Script Ohio for the very first time this day, 36. I know they did a Led Zeppelin tribute this past weekend, which was really awesome. It is remarkable. It is so incredible to watch the best name band in the land, because every step, Ryan, like, they are just perfectly in sync. Even when they walk into the stadium, they do the little flips of their instruments. The precision is just incredible. And I know it's probably, I don't know how many hours during the week of them practicing, but it is insane to see the precision and the practice they do. I love watching it. It's the best. This day, 1861, the first ever transcontinental telegraph was sent, and that effectively ended the Pony Express days, where if you needed to get a message from New York to California, it was getting there in a month. You know, like getting across the world was just crazy. Now you pick up your phone and call people in a different country. It's crazy. Very happy birthday goes out to longtime MLB manager Ron Gardenhire, former Indians pitcher Arthur Rhodes. And I just remember him when he and Omar Vizquel got into it because Rhodes had earrings in while he was pitching, and Omar complained about him, made him take him out. Former Bengals running back Corey Dillon, Jalen Ramsey, Jaylen Brown, Drake, and the late kind of great Bob Kane. Do you know who or what Bob Kane created, Ryan?
Is something to do with comics?
Yeah.
That's not Batman, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bob Kane. Yeah,
that's what I thought, but
yeah.
Okay.
Have you watched the documentary?
I have not.
Oh.
Is it a good one?
So here's the story on Bob Kane for just a quick second. I've got 2 movies for you today. And technically a song that was released this day in history. We'll give you a hint on that. A quick story on Bob Kane. So everybody talks about Bob Kane as he created Batman, and he did. The thing is that there was another gentleman named Bill Finger, and Bill Finger sat down as what they called, I think they called him ghost writers. And what it was Bob Kane was contracted, and he came up with Batman. He came up with this idea, but he sat down with Bill Finger, and Bill Finger helped him create Batman. If you can Google this. The original looking Batman that Bob Kane had does not look anything like the Batman that we have today. It was a different, I think he had a red cape. He didn't have the ears. He looked like crap. Bill Finger took it over and redrew it. The reason that you have the Joker is because of Bill Finger. All of these legendary characters in the early days, Bill Finger created them. You know what Bob Kane gave him? Nothing. Squat. Bill Finger died penniless in an apartment by himself because Bob Kane took all the credit. Now, if you watch some of the new movies, you will see it always says Batman created by by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Like Bill Finger's family took this to court and they sued to say this guy should be deserving credit. There's a great documentary. I think it's still on HBO Max about the whole thing. And I'm not trying to make Bob Kane out to be some villain or anything like that. He has since passed as well. But really, take credit where credit is due. Remember the name Bill Finger. Every time you think of Batman, think Bob Kane, Bill Finger. Watch the documentary. If you're into Batman, it's a great documentary. All right, 2 movies and a song for you. Neither of those have anything to do with Batman. But I don't know if my buddy Pat is listening because this is his favorite movie of all time. That's your first hint. You don't know Pat. I don't know if that would help. But this day, 2014, a man becomes very angry after the death of his dog.
A man becomes very angry after the death of his dog.
2014. They call him Baba Yaga. The boogeyman? He wasn't necessarily the boogeyman. He was the man that you sent to kill the boogeyman.
I don't know if I know this.
What? Oh my God. Keanu Reeves?
Is it, I don't know.
John Wick.
Okay, so I was going to say that, but I've never actually seen John Wick.
Oh my God, Ryan, what are you doing? Stop everything. Leave the show now and go home and watch John Wick.
There's what, 4 correct now?
Yeah, I mean,
4?
the other ones are fine. The first one.
I know. Trust me, I know how big of a franchise it is. I've actually never seen a John Wick.
Oh, you got to watch it. At least the first one.
Okay.
At least the first one.
Okay. I didn't.
Did
the first one, was that in 2014? Was that the first one that came out?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Oh wow, okay.
And they've obviously spawned this into all the sequels. Now they got this TV show, The Continental, coming out. It's all about the hotel that they do this out of. Yes, John Wick. This day, 2014. You're gonna get some angry tweets. Just be prepared on that. And then another movie. This movie is. It's obviously very heartwarming of this movie. This day, 2003. Great. You talk about the acting in this movie, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is the star, and Ed Harris is the coach. I'll give you your hints there. And it's where a young man helps a football team with their season.
What year was this?
2003. And I gave you the hint of Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ed Harris. I don't know if that'll help or not.
A young man helps his football team.
Yes.
Oh, God.
In a different way. It's not like he plays, but he helps out. This one's a little harder. Radio. Have you seen Radio?
No.
Okay, Radio is the movie.
Oh, yeah. I would never
and it's
got
based
that.
on a true story of a young man intellectually disabled. And the team, and the hard part was, I think this was based in the 70s. And the team would treat him poorly. And the coach, takes him in. It is a tear. You can't watch that movie and not cry. You will cry watching that movie. It's very sad, but it's also based on a true story. It's sad in the sense of it's still a fantastic movie. It's very heartwarming, on the true story, but it takes a little bit to get there. It's pretty sad. So Radio, this day 1970, and then the final one, this day 1988. A song. I don't know if you'll get it, but if I asked you Annie, are you okay?
Yeah, for sure. Smooth Criminal.
Smooth Criminal.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, what do you expect
just
after
off
I
the
don't
John
get
Wick.
John
I'm
Wick?
just making sure, okay? I'm glad.
Michael
Trust me, I'm
Jackson's
glad
a
you
little more
ended it on a
famous than,
positive note.
Yeah.
I'm glad you ended it on the positive note. You snapped that. You looked at me like I thought it was crazy. I'm like, I would have said it if I said Bobby Yaga. I thought you would have been like, oh, yeah, no problem, John Wick. Just making sure. I'm glad you ended on positive note,
Me
right?
too.
Yes, Smooth Criminal from Michael Jackson, released this day, 1988. I'm a millennial. I'm a child of the 90s, so I think of the Alien Ant Farm version of it first a little bit, but then obviously Smooth Criminal with that video is very electric, very awesome. Another quick side note story of nothing. So Alien Ant Farm, when they put their album out, they made it, and then the producer, somebody at the radio at the record company, said, you know, you should do a cover. Throw a cover in there. And they were like, okay. So they cover Smooth Criminal. And they're, going about their way, and the album comes out. And they have somebody that calls the lead singer, Dryden Mitchell. And he's told this story before. He goes, I pick up the phone, it's this radio exec. And they go, dude, they love it. This is going to go huge. And Dryden Mitchell goes in the back of his head the whole time. He's like, please don't say it's Smooth Criminal. Please don't say it's Smooth Criminal. And they go, Smooth Criminal's going to be massive. And he goes, oh, my God. He was like, granted, it launched them to an era. And he goes, eventually I had to accept it. But he goes, we just threw it on at the end of this album just because somebody said to do it. The whole time, I'm hoping that like one of our songs will blow up or something like that. And they go, no, man, it's Smooth Criminal. It's going to be a big one. So there it is. All this day with Time Hop. So I love doing it, man. John Wick Radio and MJ released Smooth Criminal all this day in history. So take that with you when you go. Here's my real hope. And now that we have do this in a different time, it's a little bit earlier in the morning. I hope that somebody at work tells somebody about something you learned in Time Hop at work today. Like this afternoon, just go, hey, did you know that the first transcontinental telegraph was sent this day in history? Did you know that John Wick came out this day in 2014? That's my only goal. I love factoids. I love trivia. So that's a little bit of what we bring here with Time Hop. We also do 2 for Tuesday. Let's update our 2 for Tuesday question. We got a lot coming up. We're going to get to the bracket in a second. Did we get it all filled out?
Yeah. So I don't remember the one you said about the sisters. So I filled it in another name because I.
What name did you put in? All right, we'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to it in a second. It's a good one.
The Sanderson sisters, I told you, my wife would not let me back in the house.
Oh, so that's what it was, Sanderson sisters?
Yeah, hold on. We'll get to it. Don't change
I don't even know who that is.
You've never seen Hocus Pocus?
No. Hocus what is?
So let's just recap the day. You've never seen The Thing.
No.
With Kurt Russell. You've never seen John Wick.
Correct.
And now you're telling me you've never seen Hocus Pocus.
I've never seen Hocus Pocus. That's the witch one, right?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question here that might just really dictate a lot of our future here. Have you seen the movie Jaws?
Yes.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg, of
Thank
course.
God. That is my all-time favorite movie. As much as I like Batman, I will put this up against a lot of people. And shout out to Joe Fortunato. He's actually a film professor. He loves Jaws as much as I do. I will put my Jaws knowledge up against anybody.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I've read books. I've watched everything. That is my hands down. I've watched that movie. It's got to be close to 1,000 times.
You like sharks? You watch Shark Week?
I don't know why. When I was a kid, it was always on TV. And I don't know why. I just loved it. So then as I got older, I just watched it more and more and more and more and more. And then I read more and read more and all that kind of stuff. So as long as you've seen Jaws, we're good there. All right, back to it. Have you seen Jaws? 2 for Tuesday. No. 2 for Tuesday's up at Matt Fontana Show. We're asking everybody 2 questions. First up, would you just put Deshaun Watson on IR? Pull the Band-Aid, make the move. 68% of people say yes. 32% of people say no. Michael tweets, okay. Michael said that he's not the player that the other players want. They don't have courage in them. That's all drama. I'm not here for that of that locker room. What they think of him or not, I'm assuming they know that he's injured. We'll see. Or Mimosa Bloody Mary's the second one. 62-38 Bloody or Mimosa, excuse me, over the Bloody Mary.
We got some smart listeners.
Not saying that that's not true, but they're wrong on that one. Bloody Marys are just better than mimosas. All right, before we get to the bracket, let's place our bets tonight. Tipico, use that code BIGPLAY150. Get those bonus bets, get them in, and enjoy all the betting tonight. So we have World Series NLCS, the right to go to the World Series, Game 7 tonight. I mean, I get you trends, but you know these teams. Like, you know how it's going to go. I got to ride the Phillies. I think they're going to get it done tonight. I'm going to take them on the money line. So Tipico, Big Play 150 is your code. Get that 150 in bonus bets. Place your bet tonight. Phillies minus a run and a half plus 125. I'll put a 15 spot on that. Wins me $33. So I should probably take the Diamondbacks because I'm horrible when it comes to baseball right now. Basketball tonight. Nuggets are a 5.5-point favorite over the Lakers. The Warriors are a 2.5-point favorite over the Suns. I like the Nuggets to cover, and I like the Suns to get an outright win tonight against the Warriors. What do you think, Ryan?
I actually like the Lakers. I think ring ceremony hangovers inbound.
Yeah.
And then
There's a boost on Tipico. Anthony and LeBron to each score 25 plus 339.
What is it again? They each score what?
They each have 25.
I like that.
I kind of like that too.
I like that.
I might do that. I might just do that. Even though I said I was going to take the Nuggets, but I kind of like that as my boost anyway. All right, so get on Tipico. Place your wagers for tonight. We got baseball, we got basketball, we got it all. And we're going to be, we'll talk a lot of Cavs tomorrow as we get ready for them to tip off their season. All right, let's get to it, Ryan. Our bracket of the week, your favorite Halloween character. So, so I put the Sanderson sisters in there, but you took them out for Carrie. Oh, no.
Oh, no. They're in there.
Okay, well, what did you take out for them?
I don't think we had
Pennywise. You put Pennywise in.
Yeah.
I did not have Pennywise. You got to put your guy Beetlejuice in, though.
He's in group 3.
Oh, you moved him down. All right, so let's roll with this then. Group 1, Michael Myers, Ghostface, Pinhead, and Casper. Group 2, Jason Voorhees, Pennywise, Carrie White, Sanderson Sisters. Group 3, Jack Torrance, Beetlejuice, Leatherface, and Pumpkinhead. And Group 4, Freddy Krueger, Jack Skellington, Jigsaw, and Chucky. I think
Group 4 is kind of stacked.
I mean, here's my vote. I would go Jack in Group 4. Freddy Krueger, Friday the 13th. Or that's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street really doesn't do it for me. Jigsaw, I think it was fine when it started. I haven't watched any outside of like the first
Dude, there's
one.
like 10.
I know. Same thing with Chucky. Is
Yeah.
anybody watching that TV show with Chucky?
No.
I don't think so. Group 1, I'm sorry to say, is Michael Myers all day long. Group 2, same thing. Friday the 13th.
Pennywise kind of a sleeper.
I guess. I'll tell you what. You want to know why I'm against Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees? Because one of the worst films that I've ever seen in my life is Freddy versus Jason.
I knew you were going to say that.
I was a film minor in college. Try to give you my credentials here. Yes, I was a film studies minor in college. Yes, I was. I watched that movie. Dude, when I tell you that was 2 hours of just utter crap, disappointment, you would think it's Freddy Krueger, it's Jason Voorhees. Hell yeah.
Didn't like neither of them really win?
No, they just fought each other. Spoiler alert. It all ends, and of course, what happens? They're on Elm Street, and they find their way back to Camp Crystal Lake. Of course. The movie ends with Jason walking out of the lake, and he's holding Freddy's head, and then Freddy winks. He kills Kelly Rowland throughout the thing. Like it's horrible. It's just so bad. So that's why I'm out on both those guys. Group 3, I think, is tough. Because for Halloween, I would actually go Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
like The Shining is great, and I love Jack Torrance, but I'd probably go Beetlejuice there.
Yes.
So it is. All right, we got to fly. Vote at Matt Fontana 83. Oh, I'll retweet at Matt Fontana Show for all the brackets. They're up. Chico, Ball, Beautiful, Browns, Breakdown with Nick Shook is coming up today at noon. Stream it on the iHeart app and across social media. And as always, take it easy.